We've also thrown it all out the window now, speaking of prices, with this inflation coming around the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the greatest economic threat of our time. Anyone telling you otherwise is absolutely lying. We are going down the path of the Argentinians and the Weimar Republic shortly if we keep this up. Here's an article in the Wall Street Journal. It's from a while ago, but it's worth reading. Inflation hits a high note. Prices are rising at their fastest clip in years, but the Fed is relaxed because expectations aren't embedded. Very simply, what is inflation? It is a monetary phenomenon everywhere, to quote and cite the great Milton Friedman. Meaning what? Inflation is very simple. If your economy produces a certain number of products, which it does, we have factories, right? We produce cars, whatever it may be. The entire world produces a set number of goods at any given time and services. If more money is chasing the same number of goods, then the price of those goods goes up. Again, this is only complicated to leftists who don't understand simple math. If you double the amount of money in circulation and you don't double the amount of products to buy with that money, well, twice the money is chasing the same products, meaning the cost of those products is going to go up. I mean, again, please time out me, anyone on the show, if that's complicated, because leftists are listening, and I know it's very difficult. It's difficult for them, not for the sane crowd out there. Inflation is a monetary phenomenon. You print extra money, you're going to get extra prices. Why are we printing extra money? Well, we are printing extra money because liberals love inflation. We're printing it through all kinds of fancy mechanisms at the Federal Reserve, quantitative easing, all kinds of fancy names. The bottom line is this. Our Federal Reserve prints money. Look on the front of your dollar bill, whatever bill, it'll say Federal Reserve note. They are printed by the Federal Reserve. I've seen where the paper's made up in Massachusetts. I've seen them printed down in Washington, D.C. They print the money. So when they print the money or create it digitally and they don't create more products, you will get costs going through the roof as more money chases the same product. So why do liberals love that? Why? It's not a math lesson today, but it is an important show. Liberals like inflation because liberals like to spend money they don't have. And they like to spend it vis-a-vis the government. And there's only two ways to get money from people. Well, actually three. You can tax them. If you're the government, there's only three ways. You can run up debt. And third, you can just print it. Right? So those are generally your three ways the government's going to spend money. Take it from people, run up debt, which is also taking it from people, or you can print it. So why do liberals love inflation? Because liberals want to monetize the debt. What is monetizing the debt? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when your dollar is worth less, that's what inflation is. It sounds kind of ironic, right? Inflation would mean getting bigger. You're inflating something. Well, you're inflating the price of products, right? But you're really, when you think about it, deflating the dollar. Why? Because if the price of something goes up, if you could buy a stick of gum for $1 last week, and now inflation's 100%, so that stick of gum costs $2, your dollar's worth less, right? Your dollar last week bought a stick of gum. Today it doesn't. Today it buys a half a stick of gum. So if your dollar's worth less because of inflation, why do liberals love that? Liberals love that because we can run up a bunch of government debt, and that dollar being worth less means that dollar of debt is worth less too. Inflation is really great for debtors. Remember what the great Milton Friedman always said, all debts are paid, ladies and gentlemen. All debts are paid, either by the debtor or the creditor. If I lend Joe Armacost money and Joe Armacost doesn't pay me back, that debt was paid by me. If I lend Joe money and Joe pays me back next week, that debt was repaid by Joe. But all debts are paid, folks. There's no escaping debt. It's a black hole you can never get out of. So if our U.S. debt is so large that it'll never be repaid by the people who lent us the money, it won't. We won't repay it. Then what better way to screw them over than to just devalue their debt? Pay them back in deflated dollars. Pretty simple math, right? If I borrowed $1 10 years ago that bought a stick of gum, and now I'm paying back $1 now that only buys a half a stick of gum, then I really got over because I got a half a stick of gum for free. Make sense? Liberals love inflation. Now, because they love inflation, and they know you know inflation is bad, you have the goons at PolitiFact again, PolitiFarce, the biggest joke of a website in human history, PolitiFact, alleged fact checkers, who are now going after people who point out that prices are through the roof. Hilarious, PolitiFact, who screwed up just about every major fact check out there. So they're trying to fact check inflation because they know inflation right now is exploding under Joe Biden as the U.S. government prints more money. Look at some of these prices. Here was a chart that was put up that PolitiFact wanted to fact check. Lumber gone up dramatically, $300, $1,500. What is that? Gasoline, $1.95, now $3.05. Wheat, $1.83, $2.51. What is that other one? Coal was $39. Now it's $80. Corn used to be $3.43. Now it's $6.86. So, of course, PolitiFact has to provide cover for the liberals who need inflation but don't want you to know it's a bad thing. So PolitiFact ran this fact check on the fact that prices have gone up. Another hilarious fact check by the jokers at PolitiFarce. Listen to this one. They rate that as half true. Really? Half true? Those prices didn't go up? They say, yeah, lumber, gas, wheat, coal, and corn do cost more in April of 2021 in Joe Biden's America than they did a year earlier. They then acknowledge that all of that is in fact true, but they say, yeah, but you know what? The context is during the pandemic. So they don't acknowledge, keep in mind, those products cost more. Instead of just saying, this is true, but there was a pandemic, they rate it half true. It's not half true. It's all true. Those are, in fact, prices that have gone up. PolitiFact has to provide cover. So that's why they're doing that. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, people are getting hip right now to what's going on. The spending levels are out of control. And the government is eagerly anticipating the era of negative interest rates coming up soon. Why? Because the easiest way to make your money worth more and to control inflation is the way Paul Volcker did it in the early 90s in the Reagan era, by increasing the interest rate. Increasing interest rates makes money more scarce, and interest rate's a price for money. When you increase an interest rate, you start to sop up the money supply, right? People take fewer loans. People take fewer mortgages. Dan, why would that be a good thing? Because you got to get some of the dollars out of circulation, folks. That's why the inflation's is going crazy right now. More dollars chasing fewer goods. We have to sop up some of the dollars. High interest rates will do that. Liberals can't have high interest rates because why? They love inflation, number one. Inflation can't persist with high interest rates, or shouldn't. And secondly, it makes our debt worth more, not less. Remember, they want to monetize the debt. They want the dollar to be worth half. If we increase interest rates, the dollar be worth more. They're eagerly anticipating the day of negative interest rates. Now, do you understand the clamoring for the digital dollar lately? They want to institute a digital dollar. They want to start to decrease the use of cash. Why would that be? Because, ladies and gentlemen, as interest rates go down and money's easier to get because the interest rates are low, inflation goes up, which allows liberals to borrow and spend more. They would love to see interest rates go negative. Can't go any further than that, the negative numbers, right? Well, what happened when they tried that in Japan? Look at this fascinating piece from back in 2016. Japanese seeking a place to stash cash start snapping up safes. Negative interest rates spur sales of safes, where the interest rate on cash is always zero. So, folks, negative interest rates, if you put your money in the bank, liberals know, one, keeps inflation high, and two, spurs you to spend more money, which they want you to. They don't want you to save. They hate savers. They want you to spend. So what better way to do that? What better way than to create a negative interest rate so you can't keep your money in the bank? And if there was only a digital dollar and there were no cash deposits, oh, what better way to decrease the value of your money every single day? They tried that in Japan. Japanese citizens went out and bought safes, took all their money out of the bank because they didn't want to lose money in the bank with negative interest rates, and just stocked them in their safe where the interest rate is zero. Folks, inflation is the greatest threat of our time. Your simple ability to survive and buy products to survive is being threatened every single day as the value of your dollar goes down and down and down. All right, I'm out of time. So the spending levels are out of control. And the reason the spending levels are out of control is because we keep printing money. That is leading to this inflation tidal wave coming ashore.